Ladies and gentlemen, future historians are going to look back at Disney as a cautionary tale. They're going to use Disney in textbooks to explain why going woke was one of the worst decisions that a company could do in the early 2020s. Why it was an absolute kiss of death to welcome this fanatical cult of depraved, degenerate, low-life losers that worship themselves and got a degree in gender studies for a couple $100,000 from a student loan. Why that was not a very good idea. Disney has lost everything. Disney has lost its goodwill, the reputation that they built up for decades, all of the excellent entertainment that they had created has been wiped away. And now you have people saying, I want almost nothing to do with Disney. Tyrone Magnus put out a video. He's a very prominent YouTuber, very prominent Disney enjoyer. He was featured in an ad for Target because of his reaction where he was so excited for The Force Awakens before we realized how bad Disney was with Star Wars. And now recently he did a video saying, I can't bring myself to pay the couple grand to take my girlfriend to Disney because they're driving me crazy and I couldn't live with myself if I went there and paid all that money while they're so oblivious to what the fans want and while they're destroying themselves. And I understand it. But that, unfortunately, is the state that Disney is in. They have lost everyone. Even the people who are relatively normie, like Tyrone, they want nothing to do with it. When you are at that point where you have abandoned your core fan base in favor of an illusory phantom fan base on Twitter, and you've hired those people to work in your company, and you've done nothing to oversee them. You've done nothing to regulate them. You've done nothing to rein them in. You've allowed Kathleen Kennedy to go out and do whatever whim crossed her brain. Anyone who suggested to me, if I were working as an executive at Disney, anyone who came to me and said, what we need to do is we need to rethink Star Wars, it needs to be a franchise for little girls and women, I'd say you're fired. Because you fundamentally do not understand what you're here to do. You're not here to deliver a political message or a social message or a climate change message. You're here to tell a story that people in the audience, whatever their political beliefs are, whatever their religious beliefs are, whatever their race or sexual orientation, whatever that may be, that they can come and watch this movie and it's so good that it actually brings them together. That's what Star Wars did. That's what Indiana Jones did. That's what Willow did. That's what Disney used to do. But the moment that you start making it political, you start making it about race, and this racist, pervasive, degenerate ideology of wokeness that is all about self-glorification, hedonism. What feels good? Well, that must be right. Oh, we'll let any delusional mindset into our cult, and if you don't believe it, if you don't affirm it, then you're an evil, terrible person. We're no longer going to refer to mothers as mothers. They have to be referred to as birthing people. Because a bunch of self-important, delusional narcissists might have their feelings hurt if you appropriately refer to people based on the history of humanity and every biological fact that we know and will ever know that refers to the female of our species as the ones who can give birth and them being the mothers. They have gone off the rails. They have lost their mind. No one has reined them in, and they have destroyed everything. Pirates of the Caribbean, Marvel, you think back. They had Pirates of the Caribbean. They had Marvel. They had Star Wars. They had the legacy and lineup of Disney movies. They could have created enough money just by using what they had for the next 100 years. Do you understand? It would have been so easy. It's almost impossible to imagine they could have messed this up that bad. Do you know what I would have done in Bob Iger's position if I had control of just Star Wars alone? Do you understand that Knights of the Old Republic, the MMO game, in that one game, there are dozens of stories, well written, well liked stories with characters people like, already fleshed out. All you would literally have to do is say, okay, we're going to turn all of these into a bunch of movies. Maybe a TV show, but mostly movies. We're going to go back in time to Revan days, and we're going to make... You could print money for the next 20 years on the movies that you make. And people would be glad to pay it, because you wouldn't be disrespecting Luke Skywalker or Darth Vader or anything like that. You could just print cash, which is why, on top of everything else, it's so insane. Pirates of the Caribbean. How the hell do you believe somebody like Amber Heard over Johnny Depp? How do you fire him? Oh my God. It's like everything that they've done has been an unmitigated failure. How did you think that Brie Larson was going to replace Robert Downey Jr.? How did you think people were going to want to see an Avengers movie full of all women? How? This is insanity. There is nothing in any of that sounds like, okay, it's a recipe for success. No one at this point wants a female lead. I know that I may get some pushback on it, but it's the truth, because we know what comes along with a female lead. If there's a female main character, like in this Fallout series, these people can't help themselves. They're going to throw in a whole bunch of other shit that we don't want. They don't know how to write female characters anymore. What they do is they substitute all of the masculine traits they would write for the male character that it's supposed to be, and then make her insufferable because they don't know where to go. Like, well, we can't have her have flaws like the male character would, so we have to make her overcompensate for all those flaws, and we're going to make her unstoppable, and she's going to be a girl boss and know everything, and it's just like, oh my God. How many times have we seen this? Terminator. It's not a Disney franchise. But they said, well, John Connor is a man and he can't save the world. So we're going to have like a 4'2" Latinx woman come, and no longer do we have Arnold. It's going to be the LGBT 1000. Across the board, in every regard, we see the decay and the decline that wokeness brings, and there is no one who's saying enough, except for Elon Musk. Elon Musk bought Twitter and he said enough. Brought back Alex Jones. Legend. Absolute legend. But Disney, I want to know the exact number. How much are they pulling out? As the state's banker, Loftus, a Republican, manages approximately $70 billion per year. The state's treasurer's office portfolio contains $105 million of Disney debt instruments that will mature as scheduled and will not be replaced. That is a disaster for Disney. They no longer have the trust of the political class. And I would venture to bet this guy Loftus, I don't think he's a MAGA Republican. I don't know who this guy is. I would venture to say He's probably an establishment Republican who sees that they've gone too far. And they're like, well, we're not really making money off of this. We're not really doing anything with this. They're losing money. They're going woke. I don't see a future in Disney. And if that's where we're at, Disney as a company is absolutely done. I don't think they can come back. Because to come back, to recover, and I know that Tyrone Magnus in his video said, I think they can come back. It's not like Vince McMahon and Triple H, Tyrone. It's not at all. Because these woke people are in every part of the company. They are at every level. They are in every bit of it. So what you would have to do is bring in a maverick. You'd have to ask Elon Musk if he wants to come and clean house. And you'd have to fire all of these women. All of them. You'd have to go in there and you'd have to just completely gut the company. Like nothing we've ever seen since Twitter. You'd have to go in there and purge. And it would be painful. Ultimately, it would be what saves the company. Because if you have somebody like Elon Musk in there, they'd bring in competent, capable people who were able to do a good job. You cut back on the cost. And also maybe you get like a team of people to bring you the next idea for something like, the next Toy Story or the next, what have you. The next idea that's going to be groundbreaking, and the people that will take what exists and build on that to make good stuff in the future. Like, for example, I mentioned this in a previous video. If I were in Disney's position, I would just go balls to the wall. I'd say, forget it. We're going to do a live-action Little Mermaid. Ariel's a white, red-headed mermaid. But the story's not about her. It's called Under the Sea, a Little Mermaid story. And it's about Sebastian the crab and Flounder the fish taking a message from King Triton to his brother who rules a different part of the sea. And who would I get to play that character? You bet your bottom dollar I would get Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson to play King Triton's brother. And that, ladies and gentlemen, that would be the first step to a whole new Little Mermaid series that had to do with this new area, this new setting. And also you could introduce anyone you wanted to play his daughter, if that was a big deal. You're like, okay, well, we need a black girl like Holly Bailey to play the main character. Oh, fine. You could get her and have her be named something else. But that's not the end of it. That's not like the final part of it. What I would ultimately do is this. Because we own Marvel, and because we would own this new franchise, we'd have a movie where Aquaman meets the king of New Atlantis, or whatever we would call it. They have a team-up movie. Do you know why I would do that? Because these two guys are big stars. Because people would pay to see it. Because I could. It would make a lot of money. Having an awesome team-up movie where you combine The Little Mermaid with the Marvel Universe. And basically that would be the ultimate extended universe. It'd be like Kingdom Hearts. Kingdom Hearts is a game that combines so many different franchises. You've got Toy Story, The Little Mermaid, all that stuff. There's no reason why you can't combine these universes and make a whole bunch of money. But unfortunately for Disney, they don't have people that are really thinking outside the box. They have people that are stagnant. They don't realize the limitless potential here. It is almost inconceivable that this company is losing money with the assets they have. It is mind-blowing. But again, if I went in there, I would have to fire all of these women and all of these, diverse equity and inclusion people that are promoting all of this wokeness. And it's not just all women, but it is a female, modern female in the West ideology. That is what wokeness spawns from. It doesn't apply to women in other countries like Japan. Because in Japan, they can create things like Spirited Away, which is one of my favorite movies, or Princess Mononoke. Princess Mononoke and Spirited Away are two of the most visually brilliant, stunning, amazing stories with female characters. I can't even begin to compute how fucking phenomenal I know that people say, well, Princess Mononoke, the main character isn't Princess Mononoke. Well, she's one of the main characters. In fact, I would argue she's one of two. The point is that you have all of these stories in Japan from Studio Ghibli, that absolutely destroy what current Disney is doing. Just eviscerate it. All because their culture is broken. Their ideology is warped. And the first thing that you have to do is you have to excise this demon. You have to excise the demon of wokeness. This rotten to the core, demonic, evil presence. You have to cast it out. And the moment that you do, I think that you'll start to break the fever and eventually make a comeback. But as of right now, Disney is not doing well. I have another video that I have to do about Disney getting sued by 9,000 women. The lawsuit's going ahead in California. Now, it's a ridiculous lawsuit where the same women that have ruined the company are demanding more money, which is hilarious to me on so many levels. You have these women who have ruined this company, and now they're demanding more money from it. And the thing is, it's not like they're getting paid differently because of their gender like they're claiming. They're from different sectors of the company. A woman who's like, well, I'm a janitor, and this woman's getting paid more than me, or, the male who's, like the chief executive, he's getting paid more. It's a delusional lawsuit that's going forward because it's in California. But, it's just, Disney's losing on all fronts. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is why wokeness is so goddamn dangerous. Because you're dealing with a bunch of emotionally retarded, immature, pathetic, talentless, spineless cowards who are hypocrites, who don't believe in anything. They don't have a work ethic. They're not creative. They are a virus, a plague, a disease that spreads from one franchise to the next, from one company to the next. They have nothing to create, nothing to produce, nothing to provide. And that's what Disney has to learn, or they're going to go out of business. Anyway, on that note, ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you next time.